right, thanks for having me, and you pronounced my name correctly, so you're good. I'm Caitlyn Greffly, and I want to talk to you today about how to support the junior developer on your team, because with tons of people coming out of code schools and CS programs and the self-taught route, you're probably going to end up working with one at some point. And whether or not that makes you excited to share your knowledge or a little nervous because you feel like you might have to do a lot of hand-holding, it's in your best interest and everyone's best interest that they succeed. So I want to give you some tools to do that. I also know that there are some aspiring junior developers in the crowd, and hopefully this will give you some ideas. If you get to a company that doesn't exactly know how to support you, you can make some of these suggestions because I've personally found them to be really helpful. So why am I talking about this? I am a junior developer. I did a code school last year, and I'm 4 months into my job. I'm an associate software engineer at Zapproved. I've been really fortunate enough to be on a team that is so supportive and has just gone out of their way to make me successful in my job. When I tell people about this, sometimes I hear stuff like, "You're so lucky," and "That's so great." And I think, man, I wish I wasn't hearing that. I wish that was just normal. I wish I told people how supported I am, and they were like, "Cool, whatever, move on." But it's not always the case, so I wanted to share my experience. So first of all, if you get a junior developer on your team, just know it's not easy. They are dealing with a lot. Not only are they learning people's names and just like where the bathroom is. And for me, I work in corporate legal e-discovery software. And if you think I knew anything about that before I started my job, you are wrong. Then there's the tech stack. I was learning a completely new tech stack. I am in a stack that I didn't even study in code school. And then beyond that, there's the code base, which is massive. And so there's just a lot of information, and it is like drinking from a fire hose. So know that there's a lot that they're dealing with, and try and be sympathetic of that. Checking on them is awesome. If you go up to your junior developer at any point and ask them if they have any questions, they probably do. I constantly have hundreds of questions. I feel like I have questions about what this AWS service does. I'm always getting tickets written for things that I have just no idea what's going on. And I do feel comfortable asking questions, but you never want to ask a question a minute all day, every day. No one would ever get anything done. So if you have time, go and check on them, see if they have questions. They'll be very grateful. Learning together is one of my favorite things I've done with my team. From the beginning, someone invited me to go through a Udemy course with them. We're doing C# design patterns together, and I was invited by some mid-level and more senior engineers on my team, because everyone needs to learn. So with tech, because there is this constant evolution of learning and new things to know, I feel like going through a course together is just going to make everyone stronger. And for me, C# design patterns, super far over my head. But it doesn't really matter because I get a safe space every week where I can ask what feels like the stupid questions. And it's also given me some people in the company that I really feel more bonded to, people that aren't even on my team, to just make more connections. So hosting office hours, I think, is another really great way to support not only your junior, but really be supportive of everyone on your team. It can be hard sometimes to remember to go check on your junior developer if you have tons of meetings and stuff going on in your own work. So if you set aside time, just like an hour a week, where they know that they can come to you, it's going to make them feel like they know they have someone they can talk to, and it's also going to make it so you're less interrupted throughout the day and that you know when to expect to get a lot of questions. So this has been really helpful. Get to know them. In my first week on the job, my team took me out to lunch, and we talked about travel and love of Harry Potter and dogs, and it just made me feel like I really had a place where I could be myself and not only work, but take some breaks, have fun, like talk to people about other things and make those connections. And it made those people more accessible to come to with questions about the tech stack as well. And it's just fun going out to lunch. Hopefully your company will pay for it for you. So as a junior developer, we're constantly told to ask questions, and that's great. We do ask questions. We will ask them all the time. But one of the things I've really appreciated of our more senior developers is when they ask questions. So if we're in a meeting and there's something that comes up that you're not totally sure about, or an acronym you haven't heard of, just ask. For one, you'll get an answer and you'll learn something new, because chances are you probably don't know everything. And also it'll show them that it's an environment in which they can feel free to ask questions and feel comfortable doing so. So the first time you get your junior developer's code, you might think, oh my God, what is this hot garbage? And that's okay. You will have time to give them feedback and help make it better. But one thing to keep in mind is just to be supportive of their efforts. They probably put a lot of time and effort and thought into this, and this might be their best work at the time, and they'll grow to be a better artist than this 2-year-old, but right now they're still learning. And so just keep that in mind when you're giving critique, and show them that you know that they put in effort. I know for me, still right now, 4 months in, I will take a ticket and it'll take me 3 or 4 days to complete, to submit a PR. And I know that a senior on my team could have done it probably in an afternoon. And that can be hard to swallow. But my team has always made me feel like my work is valuable and that I'm adding to the whole team and adding to the value of the company. And that has been really great. And it's just made me want to succeed even more. So, of course, that picture could probably use some work, as could their code. So you are obviously going to be giving feedback to your junior developer. And I don't want anyone to be afraid of doing that. I've talked to some people who say, like, I want to be supportive. I don't want them to be scared or feel like what they did is horrible because I left 20 comments on a PR with 10 lines of code in it. But at the same time, you want to make sure that they're forming good habits from the beginning, because it's way easier to start with good habits than it is to go back over those habits and rewrite them and make changes. So definitely give constructive feedback. They will really appreciate it. They might get frustrated sometimes. I've definitely been frustrated with all the comments, but I know that it's in my best interest to do my best work and contribute to the team in that way, because otherwise I'll really be creating my own tech debt. I know a lot of people in the industry will go back through the code and be like, who wrote this garbage? And then they'll see that it was them. So I don't want to be in that situation, and no one else wants to be going back over my code and being confused either. So give them feedback, but try and make sure it doesn't come from a place of impatience or frustration. Pair programming can be super helpful, especially when the topic is like far beyond their realm of knowledge at the moment. I've gotten tickets before where I just had no idea where to start, especially with some AWS services. If someone tells me to update the VPC flow logs, which is a ticket I got recently, I have like so many questions about that one short sentence. So this is a great opportunity to pair program. Have your junior come and sit with you and see how you navigate AWS, for example, and what think out loud with your thought process of like where you're going to like look for different things, and why you're doing that, and what the company standards might be around what you're doing, and where documentation lives. I'm always looking for more documentation that lives within the company that I just sometimes don't know where to look. So that is super helpful, and it's sometimes a good break to just like get up, talk to someone, talk things through, like your rubber ducky. Having a real person to talk to can help you work through problems. Starting a book club was also one of my favorite things. So in my first couple weeks, one of the more senior developers on my team asked if I wanted to go through reading clean code with them and a couple other people. And so every Tuesday we have met for coffee, and we get out of the office, get a fancy coffee, and we go through a chapter of clean code. And actually today we read our last chapter, so we finally finished it, which is awesome. And it was so great because it made it more accessible to feel like for one, with clean code, feeling like these really big theories about how to write good code. It made it more accessible to just break it down and go through it week by week with people. It was fun to get out of the office, to not look at your screen for a little bit. And I think everyone can benefit from doing this kind of book club and finding a new book to read, whether you're a junior or a senior. It's nice to think about things a little differently beyond what tickets you're working on at the moment. And finally, I would say just be patient. We have a lot going on in our heads. You might have told us something once, and we might be asking the same question again. There's a lot sloshing around up there. We're trying to keep track. We're trying to learn as much as we can, but just try and be patient, because I have it on good authority that even senior developers Google the same thing multiple times. So I hope that this has inspired you a little to maybe come up with some new programs for your work, and find new ways to support your junior, and be really excited about it, because you have so much knowledge to share, and everyone's going to be better for it when they succeed. And finally, are you feeling really inspired to help out an aspiring junior dev right now? I started a little program called Shadow Tech PDX, and it's basically a way for aspiring developers to spend half a day or a day in the life of a developer to see what they really do. I found that was something that was really lacking for me in code school. I never quite knew, like, what would this look like once I was actually working. And so I have kind of just kicked this off recently, and I have a good amount of junior devs who are interested in shadowing, and only about 10 hosts so far. So if you're interested in hosting, please come talk to me after. I think it's just a great opportunity, and it really only takes like 4 hours a quarter for you to host someone like this. It's less of a commitment than mentorship, and it's going to make a huge impact on them the way it did on me. So, thanks.